Welcome everybody to windy, cold November. We have the 1998 Honda 4Trax 450 4x4. We're going to be doing some diagnostics as explained in the last video. What we're going to be doing is more in-depth diagnostics. That includes testing compression, testing spark, testing wiring, and more. This is a little bit more in depth to what I was explaining on how to purchase an ATV and what to look out for. So if you remember correctly, this right here didn't have a battery. You know, the wiring was busted where the wires go into the starter solenoid, and it didn't run from those specific reasons. So what we're going to test in more depth now, we're going to reconnect these as well, is all of those items, but with actual numbers this time, so you can see what to expect from this machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to try to get the battery in, so at least we can have a starter solenoid kick on, or if we can see to get that work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these cables back into where they should be, and then I'm going to try to get those situated to see if this thing will actually start. So in one blink of an eye, you'll see these connected. As you can see now, we are connected. So now that the solenoid is now connected to the appropriate wiring and we've got a battery plugged in, what we're going to try out is we're going to try to start this thing up. So if we go over here, we turn the key on, we notice that the actual heads-up display, or what's left of it, did come on. So that's a good sign. Now what we're going to do is make sure this is on the singular on button over here and hit the starter button. And we're cranking over. That's a great sign. Means that the wiring now is kind of sorted here. We're going to finish that up later, and we can start diagnosing the rest of this. So in order to test spark, we have this handy dandy mechanism right here, which is like $4 from Harbor Freight. What you do is you plug this into the spark plug itself, and you plug this into the boot. What this does is this flashes with a light bulb if the spark is good. If it's weak, you'll see it very light. So how you do this is we go down here to where the spark plug is. We pull this off right here. You can see this goes in here, and it doesn't have to be perfectly in there, it just has to be enough. Then we're going to put that over the spark plug boot, and with this being connected here, I might get a little jolt, is we're going to actually test this out. So we're going to turn this back on, and we're going to hit the start button. You see the light? That means that we have sufficient spark, and that's a good sign now that we've repaired the wiring. So on to the next test. Now what we have here is a compression tester. Our next test is going to be testing how much compression this motor has. And how you do that is you get a decent compression tester, one that works and you know works properly. One's from Harbor Freight, one's from Amazon, tend to be hit or miss. You can get this and you can plug it in, and one compression tester will say 100, the other one will say 150. So make sure you have one that works. This one's been tried and true and tested for a number of years. So what we're going to do is first we're going to take out the spark plug that was in the head, and we're going to double check it. It's got carbon buildup, but just enough. It doesn't look too bad. It's not white or dark black, or it doesn't have a lot of gas in the head. It smells like gas. It smells pretty good, so we know that that's decent. What we're going to do is we're going to match up the actual pattern for the thread here to make sure it's equal. So this is the right thread pattern right here, as you can see, not what's on the compression tester already. And what we're going to do is we're going to simply put this in here, right here, and then we're going to put this in the head, and then we're going to crank it over, and we'll see what happens. Now that the compression tester is completely screwed in, as you can see, I took some plastics off in order to get there. You can see here that we're on 0. We can see we are connected into where the spark plug is, or where it should be anyways. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this to the on position, and the trick is also to gun the gas like this to make sure we have the most amount of air coming in to the head. All right, so here we go. We're going to hit the starter button. We're going to let that go till it stops. All right, so there we go. We're at 140 PSI, which is excellent. That shows that we're right within that compression ratio. As I said in my previous video, just by pulling it, I can feel that it was over 100 PSI. Reality, I knew that it was in firing position. So 140 PSI is well within firing position. It means that the compression's a little low, but it's not bad. That means the rings are holding on. Also, due to the fact that this is not dropping at an incredible rate, that means that this is going to fire and stay running perfectly fine. The compression is good. So now that we've tested this compression and the spark, we know those are both good. We're going to move on to the next thing. So what's next is fuel. So we have spark, we have compression, we have air. Now we need fuel. How you can tell that we have air is because during the compression test, air has to come in and compress that air in the head in order to determine that there is air coming in. So we have three things. The last thing to make sure we have is fuel. How to tell you have fuel is more complicated than it would for the other ones, because there's no real way to test that unless the thing just fires up. So what we're going to try is as simple as this. Let's try to fire this up. We're going to go into reserve. We're going to just give it another sniff test in there. The fuel smells older, but not bad. So we're going to turn this on, and we're going to see if this fires up. We're going to put this on choke right here. You can see the choke mechanism moving as I move this. Now, this one's pretty tight, so it might need to be replaced. So let's give it a try. Bada bing, bada boom. You have fuel, you have compression, you have air, you have life. And this has life. So we're going to turn this off. Look at that, guys. We have a running ATV. So the important notes about this machine and all machines: every internal combustion engine requires four things: fuel, air, compression, and spark. If you have all of those things, theoretically a motor should fire and it should run without problem. The basics are taken care of, and we know the machine is in good shape due to those four items. So what we're going to do is we are, in our next video, we're going to take this out and we're going to drive it and we're going to see how it performs. And that is the basics of getting a good machine to go. So to recap what we checked on this ATV: we checked compression, which was at 140 psi. We checked spark, which was sparking just fine. We checked fuel, which smelled good, but we weren't 100% on it because we didn't take the carb apart. And we checked air, and all of those four things checked out fine, which means theoretically this should run and drive just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the gas on again. We're going to give it one last try here. So we're neutral. So it's running fine. Now, what these tests did not determine was the transmission quality and how it was running. It didn't also determine how this thing rolls and forward and reverse and all that stuff, which again is related to the transmission. What this tests primarily is that an ATV is going to run, and that's what we're testing today. Next test is going to be this out in the woods to see how it performs and how much we like this machine in general. So stay tuned for the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you sticking by, and we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.